Let's bring in Kentucky Congressman James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Chairman, great to have you on the program. You heard Senator Lindsey Graham there. My question for our country, for our leaders, why aren't we doing this already? Why aren't we using our military already to go after these cartels? There's so many reasons we should be doing it. Look at fentanyl. Look at this kidnapping unfolding on our screen. Human trafficking, the list goes on and on and on. What are we waiting for, Congressman?
That's a great question. That's a question we continue to ask the Biden administration. Look, my position is very clear. I believe we should have a military presence at the very least on the southern border, if not across the border. You know, one of the things we learned post-Trump presidency is that he had ordered a bombing of a couple of fentanyl labs, crystal meth labs in Mexico, just across the border, and for whatever reason the military didn't do it. I think that was a mistake. Think about all the deaths that have occurred, not just from the crystal meth that was manufactured on the southern side of the border, but also the fentanyl that they packed across the border. It was a gathering place for fentanyl and also labs for crystal meth. So we've got to take a firm position against Mexico. One of the things that the Oversight Committee has learned about the Mexican government in our investigation of the lack of southern border security is that the Mexican government regularly meets with the drug cartels, just like the United States government would meet with the Chamber of Commerce or the labor unions. I mean, this is wrong, and the United States needs to completely reverse its policy against Mexico and take a firm stance against all the crimes being committed in Mexico.
Yeah, Congressman, that's my next question. What would something like this look like, the relationship at least between the U.S. military being perhaps on the Mexico side of our border? Because you heard Bill Barr say right there that the Mexican government, they can't do anything about this. So how would that relationship look?
I mean, if I were president of the United States right now, I would be more focused on the Mexican border than the Ukrainian border. And that's a big frustration, not just with a lot of Republicans in Congress, but with a lot of taxpayers in America. I mean, our border crisis in America right now is the southern border. We lost 100,000 people last year due to fentanyl deaths, where the overwhelming majority of that fentanyl is coming across the border. Now we see that popular tourist destinations like Cancun and Matamoros, where Americans can't even feel safe there. And I wouldn't encourage any American to travel to Mexico right now. So we've got to take a firm stance. We've got to take an economic stance, whether that be sanctions against certain industries in Mexico. But certainly we need to have a strong military presence on that southern border. We need to send a message to the drug cartel as well as the Mexican government.
Yeah, this incident, kidnapping, took place 3 blocks from the United States. Yeah. Think about your city or town. That's 3 blocks. That's real close. And to Ashley's question, I have talked with a number of, let's call them contractors, and I think you know what I mean by that, Congressman. These are ex-military, these are ex-Navy SEALs, these are ex-Green Berets. They say they would go in a heartbeat and solve this problem because they have the skill level, they know how to do it, and they can get in there and get out, quite frankly, without the Mexican government signing on to it, because I think it's clear, to your point, the Mexican government and the cartels, they're treating each other like they're 2 nation states within one nation. And that's the problem, isn't it?
That is the problem. The Mexican government is too cozy with the drug cartel. Bill Barr was exactly right. We saw that on our border trips when the House Oversight Committee went there. We were standing in Arizona, and we could see right across the border a house that our government knew was a lookout station. We could see the cartel looking out, watching us, standing there looking at them, waiting for us to leave so that they could send fentanyl across the border. So we know what's going on. We could use drones. We could have a strong military presence on the border, and we could cut down on all the illegals crossing the border. We could cut down on the drugs crossing the border, and our government could take a more firm stance against the Mexican government. I mean, we can't continue to turn a blind eye as to what's going on in Mexico. I mean, the drug cartel is making a fortune, not just on drugs, but also they're in the transportation business. Every single person that crosses that border pays a toll to the Mexican drug cartel. Every day, the Biden administration is making the drug cartel richer and more powerful.
you would think that everyone would be on board with something like this. This should not be a partisan situation, but unfortunately, here we are. Now to this, your committee is set to hear testimony from the Treasury Department later this week after it failed to provide bank reports on the Biden's family business dealings. What can we expect out of this?
Well, we're just going to get answers as to why the Treasury Department is blocking the House Oversight Committee from getting this information. The previous three administrations, in the Bush administration, in the Obama administration, and the Trump administration, anytime the chairman of the House Oversight Committee requested these bank violations from Treasury, they provided access to them. But when Joe Biden first became president, for some reason early on, he changed the rule and blocked Congress from having access to this. Now, at the time, very few in Congress knew what a suspicious activity report was, and nobody in Congress knew that his family had between 150 and 200 of these bank violations, which, by the way, is probably a record for a single family with respect to these types of bank violations. But we want answers, and we're also going to provide them some information that our committee has already uncovered with respect to why we think it is imperative that we have access to these bank violations. So this should be a very informative committee hearing, and I hope every American can hear why this administration all of a sudden is blocking oversight of these bank violations.
Yeah, grab your popcorn. I'm curious to hear what they say, because sitting here right now, I can't think of one possible reason for them stonewalling other than to protect the entire Biden family. Congressman James Comer is on it. Keep us posted, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.